Day 1425. Days since Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss. Code red. Internal murder. Dallas Hart is the prime suspect. Richard's platoon leader. And Dallas Hart's mother, Richard's platoon leader, Leilani Hart, had unauthorized access to the CID through her affairs, and was reported for tampering, officially reported for tampering with Richard's file. And that seems to be continuing now by Bob Moore's group, which Leilani Hart is part of that group, and Dallas Hart is part of that group, and Amber Chase is part of that group. And Bob Moore is upset because an article came out that was true. It seems like he has just now confirmed that it is true. Because instead of responding to our many, many requests for communication, no less than 15 attempts to communicate with him, he has decided to retaliate. And that retaliation started January of 2023. Okay, I want to let everyone know that he let his attack dogs go starting January of 2023. And we were continuously harassed. With witnesses, whistleblowers behind the scenes, and outwardly harassed. So Bob Moore is an unethical journalist for El Paso Matters, who's owned by El Paso Community Foundation. And because we're sick of it, because El Paso is sick of his attacks. We're not the only ones that have been attacked. Our witnesses are not the only ones that have been attacked. Other people have been attacked. Sick of it. I don't control it. Team Farm Richard Halliday doesn't control it. Who responds? And because there was a powerful response, because they absolutely saw a connection of the retaliation and harassment that Bob Moore has unleashed on the family of a murdered Fort Bliss soldier. ElPasoNews.org, Martin Paredes, Connected Dots. We had no communication as far as, let's say, I want to make this very clear. We have reached out to all kinds of media. Of course we have been reaching out to all kinds of media, including them in Richard's story for years. So we have not had, we were just really, really happy when ElPasoNews.org came out with this piece this past Friday. It's very, very important piece. I hope everybody reads that article. I'll post it again because now, because it, was over the target and told the truth, Bob Moore is in trouble because it confirmed that he is under investigation, right? Bob Moore is in trouble Sorry, I was just checking. Thank you so much, Marilyn, for coming on. So Bob Moore's in trouble because the article clearly shows the public that he's under investigation, that he tampers with his articles and stories, the content of them, without notifying the public, which is a huge problem for a journalist, right? It's a huge problem. Why? Because when you are a journalist, then your articles, your publications can be used in a court of law. They have to be dependable. But if he's tampering with them without telling the public why he is making the changes, he's being unethical. And he's tampering then with the dependability for using articles that are regularly used as evidence. So it's like tampering with evidence. That's when you are manipulating and changing your articles without notifying the public. It's like tampering with evidence. And so this is why this article is so important. And of course, it's connected to Richard's case because Bob Moore reported falsely on our son's death. And so now what's happening is they are engaged in unauthorized access to our son's files, and they're continuing to do unauthorized access to files. And there is absolutely a breach in security everywhere you look. And so I think this is really a gift for us because it corroborates that Dallas Hart is a prime suspect in the murder of our son. It corroborates that Leilani Hart had unauthorized access to files to tamper with Richard's file. And so this is what is, and then to have Bob Moore want to harass, and he is connected to Bill Hicks, who is a usurper of the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office, colluding and everything to tamper with an election to remove Yvonne Rosales. So, this is, they're upset, but they don't have a murdered soldier son, you see. So they have no ethics. They have no loyalty to our military, to the El Paso, the safety of El Paso, to the community judicial system because of having unreliable sources and stories that are changed without notifying the public. This is very, very important. And we're coming on very late. We're burning the midnight oil. I wanted to come on and talk about Danae Katzen because I'm worried about her. I've been worried about her from the very beginning because she's young, not as young as she was, but you could tell that she was sent. And I've always worried about that because it never made sense what she was telling us. I was trying to clarify it. And we were constantly contacting Richard's command and the CID to get clarification on Danae Katzen. And then, of course, she became a fugitive. Of course, she now, she has, a criminal record. And she got in very, very big trouble with felonies. And she is now indicted she has 5 active cases right now, y'all. 5 active cases. She upset somebody. Okay? And you have to understand, Danae Katzen is part of this group, part of 3905 Bliss Avenue group. I should just say Bliss Avenue group because there's many homes that are involved in this on Bliss Avenue. And of course, she's connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia directly. And, and, so she was very protected by this criminal network and by Bob Moore's group. But something happened. And, intelligence is coming to us that she may have, saw that this is when Richard, when we received the notice of death for Richard, she may have absolutely thought, look, I don't want to be involved in a capital murder case. I don't want to be the attack dog in a capital murder case. I don't want to be a peddler of misinformation in a capital murder case. Okay? And so I think that this is, really wanted to talk about that tonight, but here we have Bob Moore retaliating and harassing us because of this story that came out this past Friday that absolutely told the truth. And the public needs to know that truth because the courts are being manipulated because of Bob Moore. El Paso Matters was really, creating a lot of stories that KTSM was using, KTEP was using, KVIA was using, El Dario was using. And, if you have unreliable sources and you have manipulated stories and they are for political purposes, right? And to mislead the public, this is a big problem for not just our son's case, but also for El Paso and into Juarez and the whole surrounding area of El Paso. So the public needs to know. And we have tried to let everyone know what's going on. So, and, Richard's death, the declaration of death, they did not just pick it out of thin air. Okay? We have no remains, but we have information that they have Richard's remains. And we have been provided with the beginning of the process of getting his remains. And, this process of, it's so horrible, y'all. When you're talking about your son and partial remains and not having his remains and him being murdered in July of 2020. And so this declaration of death, they did not take it out of thin air to give it to us. It's not like, oops, we found Richard all cut up in this foxhole that was covered in lime and concrete like they did with Vanessa Guillen. Maybe they did it, but it wasn't, how Vanessa Guillen's body parts was, and I want to be so respectful, but I have to get the message across that it was absolutely a horrendous situation, heart-wrenching situation. I mean, I just can't even tell people the horribleness of this. It's hell. And when her remains were found, it was by public people, civilians, because the animals were digging and everything, and they were like, what's going on here? Right? So they couldn't, it wasn't like CID or the FBI found the remains and they could cover it up. They couldn't do that. Like with the Richards case, the FBI found the remains. This is what our reports are, what we have been reporting. And so why won't they give us his remains? Why are they hiding his remains? And remember that Nadal Beam, FBI agent, goes, shh, shh, it's a secret. It's a secret that they have our son's remains? That's not a secret. For me, give us our son's remains. But for them, see, because it was in that same month with Richard, in the same months that followed, July, August, September of 2020, when all of that, people were losing their jobs over Vanessa Guillen. They hid it because it's the same command. Donna Martin was over the CID at the same time. The General Donna Martin. She should absolutely be stripped from her uniform. She was over the Vanessa Guillen case. She was over Richard's case. What is so important about protecting the brand that they would do something so horrible as this? And it's so horrible. And then Bob Moore is just as horrible, because he sends out his political attack dogs. And so we've reported this as an update to the ongoing investigation. He's being investigated, y'all. And this is just one more thing to add to this. And it added Amber Chase to this whole case. So instead of being smart and saying, wait a minute, I don't want to be part of this unbelievable, horrendous capital murder case, she's inserted herself into it. Now, that's suspicious to me, especially since she is trained mortuary affairs, especially since this is funeral home connected. All of these people are like connected with the funeral business. And don't forget that Bill Hicks, the usurper in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office, was representing Purchase Funeral Homes which is a conflict of interest. It was a conflict of interest because Purchase Funeral Homes received the remains from the Walmart mass shooting case. And he's supposed to be then the prosecutor for the Walmart mass shooting case. This is, how that all happened is just messed up. It's just so messed up. So, why Amber Chase would insert herself as a mortuary affairs with connections to even the Bill Hicks's office. She has connections to, she's connected. And then he's representing Purchase. I don't know. Things are very suspicious, and everything's going to come out. And I'm worried about Danae because I think she was going the opposite way, meaning she wanted to remove herself from this case and come forward and speak up. And so I hope that she's under protective care. And I'll let more people know. I mean, it's been such a crazy day, being retaliated against and harassed for this story on Friday. So, it's like they just continue to retaliate and harass. And that means that we're over the X, right? It also means with this unauthorized access to files, because the harassment is about having unauthorized access to files. This is more leaking. The leaking is being continued. So we every day we have to try to assess what is really going on without getting too emotional. Because, the bottom line is, and the harassment is, they want to silence us. Okay? They want to silence us. That's their goal. Go away. Be silenced. And, we won't be silenced. That time is gone. And more people are realizing what's going on in their communities, and they are speaking out. And one of those was Martin Paredes. So I wish that we would have more influence and, with the media or whatever. But they make their own decisions. Maybe because billionaires are behind them or something. I don't know. It just depends on if they're the unethical or the ethical. So there's a lot at play here, and we're very grateful for that article. Please keep sharing that article, because what this retaliation and harassment has confirmed is that article is true. That article is powerful. And in a court of law, it can be used as evidence. Whereas Bob Moore's articles are unreliable sources. Convicted criminals like Leilani Hart. Unreliable sources, peddlers of misinformation, peddlers of false evidence, or fake evidence. Yeah, let me read your... Thank you so much, Marilyn. Good evening. And I'm so sorry coming on late. It just couldn't be helped. We were being retaliated against. We were being harassed. So she always came on saying, "You'll never find your son." Yes, she did say that. And we've heard that his remains are charred. We heard that they had to use dental records to confirm that it was him. We've heard he's been was dismembered, and in many locations, they did not want to have another Guillen situation. That we heard that quote. Just horrific. And what does Bob Moore do? Retaliate and harass the family. Yeah. So, what does that say? I think that is what the media should be asking, and I think that should be a story. Why is Bob Moore of El Paso Matters retaliating and harassing the family of a murdered Fort Bliss soldier that was dismembered, and all of this evidence that they want answers for, right? And they got a big answer, and it's called the Declaration of Death. You see, that was driven because they didn't just pick it out of a hat. They looked at all the evidence and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we better declare him deceased." And of course, they do it very carefully, right? They do it. They're protecting their brand, but they declared him deceased. And absolutely, do they want me to say they kidnapped him out of his barracks room? Because there's a key. You have to have access to his room, and we the information is that he was in uniform. Do they want me to say that they took him to Juarez and shot him and killed him, and then went to the Semifo there and had them all chopped up and disseminated from there? I mean, y'all, they brutally murdered our son. The evidence is the number one piece of evidence is the declaration of death. Because they could not just pick that out of a hat. They had to know things. And they know you don't have to have a body to have a capital murder case. And so, let's have a capital murder case, but let people keep guessing on how he died. Because the truth is so damaging. The truth is so damaging because let me tell you, anybody in the military, in the emergency services profession, in the law enforcement profession, know that Richard could not just disappear from Fort Bliss. No. And we were told, oh, they don't have any. They don't have any video, CCTV footage, nothing like that. So, yes, we would love for them to come clean and, be like a board and say, like a billboard and flash the lights and exactly tell us the truth. But they tell you the truth in their legal actions. That's how they tell you the truth. So, okay, everyone. Thank you so much for coming on and, let people know about Danae, that they need to treat her justly. I'm not saying that she's not a criminal. I'm not saying that Patrick Crucius is not a criminal. I'm saying that they need to treat the criminals justly, not like how Bob Moore has treated this well, she has felony charge. She's indicted for felonies. And I'm worried if she's in the hands of them because they're ruthless. And we don't want ruthless. We don't want it for anybody. We want justice and accountability. and the rule of law and ethical journalism. So that's why Danae, you we need to pay attention to what's happening to her, because she absolutely knows who this criminal network is, who sent her to us to begin with, who protected her. She knows about Phil Waters, how he treated her with soft gloves. He, the whole psyop, that absolutely the narrative that she was given, who gave that to her? She knows it. So if she wants to come forward, they wouldn't like that. And that's why we need to really pay attention to what's happening to her. And we need to demand that they absolutely protect her and handle her case according to the law and justly. And the charges are what I believe are 5 charges. 3 of them are felonies, 2 are misdemeanors. So somebody is not her friend, because these are open cases. She's in real trouble. And, of course, she did these things, okay? She's a criminal, and she targeted us. But the media is not covering her indictments. The media is not covering how she's connected to the Walmart mass shooting case, how she's connected to the murdered Richard Halliday case. They're not being honest, and that is what we're worried about. We're worried because honesty is not part of this, right? It just doesn't. Something stinks, and I hope that makes sense to everybody. I hope that makes sense. So, okay, thank you so much. God bless you all, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.